Yeah, that's it, thanks. We'll go backwards and forwards across the room. We'll get you in.
Oh, hi, this is to both panellists. And I'm a retiree, came all the way down the coast, and it's for my grandchildren. And can you tell me, for myself, when can I buy a house along the sea? How much is it going to increase?
What did she say?
Okay. There's a graph that can give you a clue. People planning to build along the coast, I think they probably need, the people doing the planning need to plan and allow for maybe 90 centimetres this century.
Hasn't worried Al Gore, has it?
His place is not 90 centimetres above sea level.
Now, we're coming...
Shall I answer that one?
Yes, of course.
Yes. The UN's official estimate is, central estimate, about 1'5", that's I think 43 centimetres, over the whole of the next 100 years, compared with around 20 centimetres over the last 100 years. These fluctuations up and down in sea level would be quite normal. However, I've consulted Professor Niklas Mörner, and he's a man, by the way, and he has said that in his estimation, he's written 530 papers, a large number of them on sea level rise. He's probably the world's most formidable expert on it. He has said he expects a rise of 10 centimetres, plus or minus 10 centimetres, over the whole of the next 100 years.
Okay, can I just correct something there?
Yeah.
Lord Monckton, that the UN did not say that their estimate was 43. What they said was 50 up to 59, not counting accelerating ice sheets. For that, they said these ice sheets may be unstable, they may start to melt at a much faster rate, and they could cause a big increase in sea level rise. And they just decided we don't know how much. We can't really give you any kind of idea of that. So to say no more than 43 is not what they said. And again,
well,
I think that they have much more support for their opinion than the one guy you can produce who says, oh no, all the other guys are wrong.
All right, gentleman over there, yes, thank you. Young man in the, that's it?
Thank you. This question is...
No, it wasn't you actually, it was the young man here in the lemon shirt, but if you've got the mic, go for it.
I've got the microphone now.
That's it.
Yes.
Possession.
This question is directed to both speakers. It's a little bit technical, so I'll try and be as brief as possible. Lord Monckton described the situation down in the Flinders Ranges, I think it was 750 million years ago, and the fact that there were thousands and thousands of parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere at the time that Dr. Monckton doesn't seem to have disputed. Yet he claims only a 22 degrees C rise in atmospheric temperature. This would imply to me that there is a non-linear relationship between carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere and temperature rise. Would either of the speakers care to comment about that?
Good question.
Well, since this was my point, perhaps I can answer that. Yes, the UN's climate panel, in its 2001, repeated in its 2007 report, cites a paper by Myrie et al. In 1998, which gives a formula for the CO2 radiative forcing, which was, if I remember rightly, 5.35 times the natural or Naperian logarithm of the proportionate increase in CO2 concentration. So it is indeed a logarithmic and not a linear relationship. You're quite correct, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just take the young man who missed out then. Yes, over there, thank you. We're coming back.
Come back to this guy.
Yeah.
Thank you for your excellent presentations. I think this is a real debate. We could see that one side, we could see the sea level rise, another side, we could see that ocean is cooling. And myself is a naval architect, and we deal a fair bit with the oceans, wave height and all. And with our experiences, we find that the freak waves or rogue waves are really increasing over the years, probably 30, 40 years, the frequency is more. And while we design the ship, we have to really design our ships based on the 100-year returns. So now we are going back to 200-year returns to really, for the design aspect of the ship, like a catamaran, trimarans and all. So just I want to have your reasoned argument. Do you find that it is really happening? This frequency of these rogue waves is coming very frequent, and what is the main reason behind that? Any good comment from your side?
Thank you.
I really don't know the answer to that question, but I have my blog, and I'm quite happy to see if
Let's see.
to
Perhaps I can
consult
help.
and research
Yes.
and put something up and answer if I can address
Yes,
it.
indeed. The rogue waves you describe were at first largely thought to be mythical until too much evidence began to accumulate that they occur. And mathematicians have studied this phenomenon and have concluded that the Schrödinger wave equation, which predicts the existence of rogue waves in any system of waves, may well give the answer to this. And using the Schrödinger wave equation, one can model that every so often you will suddenly get, after a regular sequence of waves, a very, very, very big one, and then it'll go back to a regular sequence of waves again. So it seems to be something inherent in the rules of mathematics, and we see it, interestingly, but very damagingly, in real life when these rogue waves strike oil rigs or ships at sea. A most interesting question, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. This gentleman just here? Yes. Thank you. There's a microphone there. Mic behind you, so everyone else can hear the question.
Please accept my apology. I have no any question. However, I want to stress one point that I regard quite of importance. I didn't come here to listen discussion on a climate problem. Primarily, I didn't come here. I came here because of to stress of totalitarian way that many governments in the world, including, I'm afraid, in our beautiful country here, treat this discussion. You know what I have in mind? Suppression opinion, direct or indirect. One way to explain the thing, make from opposite people who have different opinion, jokes, and so on. I remember, I hate to use the term totalitarian. I don't use it lightly. However, I spent my youth under very bad totalitarian regime. I think I know what I'm talking about. In my humble opinion, any government that can get as much power as possible, firstly, they try to suppress, influence, take over media, and secondly, take over education. I have a good friend here who is actually a teacher. He doesn't believe about the CO2. He has exactly the same opinion. How long? Or you have?
Speak. Yeah.
Keep it
However,
short.
He is scared to tell that to his teacher, to his students, because he is scared of his existence, he is public servant. And I'm afraid there are many very well-educated people, including university professors, who are in similar situation.
Okay, well, look, thank you. I think you've made... So I think the point the gentleman is making... I think the point the gentleman is making would be shared by many Australians who are very concerned about the failure to listen to an alternative viewpoint. And I was going to end, but I'll make this comment, it's the appropriate time to make it. It is virtually an intellectual scandal that this is the only debate that has taken place in this country on this particular issue. And it's the reason why we're grateful for Dr. Lambert. Without him, there is no debate. You'd be talking to yourself. So we're grateful for your being here. But when in fact a request was made, and this ought to be on the record, a request was made for an eminent visitor, namely Lord Monckton, who has views, and the world is wanting to hear those views, when a request was made to appear at the National Press Club so that it could be televised and heard across the nation, that request was denied. Now that gives validity to the point that you are making. And I think the wider point that is a concern for so many who write to me is that they're worried, the lady over there about her children, is worried about children being taught that CO2 is a pollutant, and children develop a notion that this is some spurious thing, it's a scourge of the nation. And unless